And Blade. Drain gang. Shout out to all the drainers.
Hey everybody, my name is Wyatt and I'm Ferda Tunes, and today I wanted to make this video to highlight an artist that I've just been enamored with ever since a very good friend of mine just kept on insisting that I get into his stuff. And once I successfully did that, I very quickly realized just how dedicated his fan base was, as well as just how split the mainstream majority's reception was to his music. I'm very active on Twitter and I consider myself a small part of the music community over there, and what I've generally seen is like hip-hop heads kinda hate his music, and just among the mainstream it's one of the strongest cases I've ever seen of the whole you either love it or you don't. So I wanted to make this video as a bit of an analysis looking into why Blade's music is so polarizing for some and basically headache-inducing for others. If you don't know, Blade is a Swedish rapper, singer, songwriter who blew up with Young Lean and the whole collective known as Drain Gang. They've been making insane waves on the kinda underground internet music scene for about 7 or 8 years now, and describing their sound isn't a very easy job even when going from album to album. And as big of a fan as I am now, I still find it hard to describe what I personally find so appealing about Blade's music. But I think in doing this may open up the eyes to some of the more strong-headed Blade haters out there, or at least get people to see and understand the appeal of his music, which I think is most important. Because nowadays people are so quick to call an artist trash or just completely write them off just for doing something super out there or just super unique or different. I don't totally blame them because his music can be very off-putting at first listen. He utilizes auto-tune stronger than maybe anyone in hip-hop today, and that might be the most essential aspect of his sound. It also might be what turns people off so quick. His vocals are typically sung over very spacey, melodic cloud rap beats, and I find he's very good at making very subtly catchy melodies. A good friend of mine and huge fan of Blade said that Blade's music sounds like it should be bad. It should be annoying as fuck, but it's not, and it somehow invokes the exact opposite of that. His music becomes extremely addicting when it really clicks for you and you start to really understand the sound or fall in love with the vibe. I've heard people say his music sounds like a parody of itself, and as strong of an insult as that is, I kind of see what they mean, but let me flip it. One of the strongest aspects about Blade's music is its goofiness and its almost amateurish feel to some of his songs, especially his earlier work. But there's just something about that feel to his sound that just makes his music even more unique and special. He definitely has his very ambitious and impactful and even emotional songs, but over the years he's proven himself to be very versatile while still sticking to his core sound more than most artists do, especially artists that experiment. Take his debut album Ever Since, for example. Its sound is extremely cold and isolating, but the more you get used to it, it just feels super nostalgic and comforting at the same time. The beats are very dreamy and ethereal and spacious, but also very hard-hitting at the same time. His production tends to be a perfect blend of trap and cloud rap. Take Romeo, for example, a personal favorite Blade song. The hook is catchy and serene and almost cryptically emotional, but the beat, it has the typical shimmering computerized synths that come with a lot of his sound. But the overall experience of the song, and honestly most of that album, it feels like a warm blanket in the middle of an ice storm. I might treat myself with fucking medicine to feel something, I do anything. Meanwhile, his follow-up to that album, Red Light, and his probably most acclaimed mixtape, Ice Dancer, is literally chock full of bangers. Super boppy, upbeat, and those kind of cutesy trap beat bangers, but bangers nonetheless, and hard-hitting beats. He really dove into trap music and made his own feel to it all on that tape, and I'm so glad it became so prominent and popular with songs like Be Nice to Me, probably his most accessible song. To be honest, if it's wrong, I don't want to be right. I don't wanna talk if you're not gonna talk to me nice. with the really bright and boppy production shining through the very hard-hitting trap percussion. It almost reminds me of stuff that like Playboi Carti, Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty, and even quite a bit of Young Thug. Like, I'll list some song examples here because it's hard to describe, but I feel like you guys get what sound I'm talking about. But again, Bladee just takes it so much further into his next level weird, just spherical, icy dimension. After his debut, Bladee really started to branch into other parts of hip-hop and pop music, really to only strengthen his own core sound a ton. Doing this made his sound naturally more accessible while still feeling like it's from a completely other world. His first mixtape, Glue, is the best example of Bladee and his sound. It's a real headfirst dive into his whole aesthetic. I wouldn't personally recommend starting there if you haven't heard Bladee's music, unless you really want to dive in and listen to everything chronologically. That's a good idea, but it's a tough thing to do, I'll be honest. Glue is still great, and I enjoy the shit out of it, but it's still his most amateurish work, and I'd personally just save it for until you just soak up his aesthetic a bit more and hear his later projects and just get more familiar with his sound. Then you go back and really get the bonkers shit of Glue. His mixtape Exeter from earlier this year was the first full project that I listened to from Bladee, and it honestly took me about at least like 6 listens before I even like started enjoying it. His music just has that quality to it. I'll say it again, you either love it or you hate it. It's very hard to find a middle ground there. But the day that Bladee clicks for you and you really start taking it all in, it might be one of the best days of your life. And the sea reflecting in your gaze, struck the mirror and it breaks. 7 years, 7 days, 7 different heavens. I'm talking from my experience, of course, but really, his music this year has just become so abnormally special to me. It's just a certain thing that I just love, and it just hits a certain wavelength in my brain that just, I'm feeling the night, yeah, I'm out, yeah. Maybe I'll grow out of it, and I'm just like really in an obsessed phase right now. But shit, the last few months, I've just appreciated this guy's vibe and sound more than anything. His newest album from this year, 333, is a very blissful offering of songs, all produced by White Armor. I wish I could talk about White Armor more for a second, but he's becoming one of my favorite producers ever, and just everything he does for Young Lean, Bladee, and Echo 2K is just fantastic, and I just can't get over how consistent he is, and shit, everything he's touched this year has been pure diamonds. But anyways, Blade's album from this year, 333, feels like somewhat of a blend of everything he's done so far. I wouldn't say it's a bad place to start, but I'm gonna put a short list of what I think are the most accessible and most essential Bladee songs. I'll leave it right at the top of the description just for people who haven't heard him before or want to give him another chance. You know, those are the songs that I think, you know, good for beginners. I pray this helped some people get onto his music, or like I said, at least just see the appeal in it. I obviously fell super deep in love with this music, and I'm just glad I gave him as many chances as I did, because like I said, his music is just so off-putting at first, and I was definitely not a fan. But here we are now, just a few months later. I dropped quite a few Bladee first reaction videos in the last few months. If you somehow haven't seen them, I'll put all those in the description as well. I had a lot of fun doing those, man. And please, if you're a Bladee fan, just comment what your favorite Bladee song is and why. I'm really interested to know. I think these are my top 3 for sure. Just 3 that I can't deny, they just stand out from the rest as much as I love the majority of his music. These songs over the course of this year have just been imprinted in my psyche, and I just can't stop listening to them. I plan on doing a few more videos like this for a few other artists, and a big one for Young Lean for sure. Y'all know, if y'all know low-key I'm a bigger fan of Young Lean than I even am Bladee. As much as I love the both of them, can't even compare. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this kind of analysis, and I hope I broke it down at least as good as I thought I would. You can follow me on Instagram and come talk some shit with me on Twitter. All the links will be in the description as well. And other than that, thanks again for watching, and keep draining.
Man, if you give up, that's when you fucked up. Get your fucking racks up.
Shout out to all the drainers. Shout out to Echo. He pulled up in a Rover, drained my life.
That bolt my head twice like a cock on.